I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. Let's see what happens here. We're trying to do a live stream here. Um, so I'm coming today because I want to talk to you about what's going on with the war in Ukraine, Putin, the West, the assumptions, all the rhetoric that's happening out there that I keep hearing. There's some stuff that's really bothering me about what the West is. West believes that it can actually win in an exchange between Russia and the United States, and it all begins with the hubris the United States has about who they are, about what kind of strength they have, about when things are really going to ramp up. So the hubris of the United States is really horrible, right? We've got people out there who really believe that what the West, the narrative, the woke agenda is is the moral correct stance. And you've got 90% of the world, and I'll say that pretty confidently because 90% of the planet do not subscribe to woke socialist ideologies. Those countries that are socialists do not subscribe, they're oppressed. Those countries that are communist do not subscribe, they're oppressed. Those countries only that are capitalist are excited about their life every day. Everybody else is used by the governments that they are under to develop the state. So um, literally Putin is saving the world from Nazism, fascism, corruption, socialism, communism. And the opposite is being purported as true. This is horrible because those folks in the West who think that Putin is a tyrant and a colonizer are really the tyrants and the colonizers. It's the way that it's always been. And when you go back to COVID, Ukraine was invaded because I believe it had a lot to do with COVID. And the reason I believe this is because not every country in the world believes COVID was um, naturally released. They have a good understanding of how it was released, what happened, who's involved, and they aren't coming straight out and saying it. They're just going to fix the problem. Russia is the main point of the spear there because Putin is fed up. It's fed up with the Western lies and corruption and disinformation that's being spewed out of the West, and that's Europe, the proverbial West, the global West, the woke agenda, the NATO forced globalism that's been happening over the past just directly after World War II ended. The globalist agenda was initiated. United States was overthrown, and it is the seat and base of all that globalist agenda. So, so Russia gets this. They've been lied to hundreds of times by the West. They have signed contracts that the West has broken, like every other country on the planet, just because the West wants what it wants and it's going to do what it does, and nobody has anything to say about it. So that's pretty much what's up now. The When Putin decided he was going to go ahead and cross the border and begin to clean up Ukraine, and I mean clean up and liberate Ukraine, because after the Minsk agreement, that was generally the last straw because the United States broke their promises through the Minsk agreement, and NATO began to encroach more and more toward the borders of Russia because it's no secret that the United States and the West want to decolonize Russia. They want to separate it into separate states, and the hubris of them thinking that that's an okay thing to do because they just want the country. It's not because Russia's doing anything that, some of these other countries in the Middle East that are actually aggressive. Putin's not doing anything aggressive. He's creating strength in his own country, and that is a threat because they're massive and they're strong and they're nationalist. And nationalism is a big deal for them. They love their mother Russia, love it. They love family. They love church. These people are in love with unity and cohesiveness, and they are strong. That's why they're strong. Whereas opposed to the West is divisionary by design, and the open border policies of the West are divisionary by design. They want to create weakness in the country. Well, you know who else sees weakness? China and Russia. They are not going to let the United States dictate their behaviors, and with good reason. They shouldn't. A country is a country. It's like someone else coming into your house and telling you what to do. Well, you guys are letting them. You're letting them tell you how much energy you can use. You're letting them tell you what your children should think. You're letting them tell you, and you shouldn't. You should all the guns should have come out a long time ago, and but the woke propaganda, fascist, socialist agenda did its work. It it created um, uh, blue-haired fat women and skinny-armed weak men, and that's what happened. Now the United States has no fighting force. They don't even want to fight, and that's the whole point of this. They don't. They want you to not fight. They want you to not want to fight. They want you to be weak, and you are. You're weak. You're a bunch of weak, ill-thinking, mal-logicked group of people that are divided internally by race war and gender ideology, and it's done. You guys, the United States is a ruined country, and that will be shown full full throttle by how how Russia reacts and China reacts to this. Russia doesn't want the United States, and far from it. Russia wants the Russian-speaking population to be protected. They are protecting their own. And those of you who don't know history, who don't understand the global politics of what's happening in Ukraine and between Russia and what the United States has done there, and what's really happening there. You've been insulated, and I can't say it's your fault because most of you don't have time to look into this stuff. But you do. What you find out is Ukraine has been at war for 10 years internally. And that has to do with they have a neo-Nazi population that is aggressive, and they kill civilians, and they're terrorists, and they are corrupt, disgusting assholes. And that's the deal with Ukraine. And because of that, it left them open um, to a lot of influence. So in comes the United States because they want they want a secure place on the Russian border front, and they installed. This is true. They installed bioweapons laboratories. They do child and human trafficking. They are organ harvesting. This is the West that is doing this. Okay, I want to be very clear here. What you're fighting for is that what money you're giving to Ukraine supports these behaviors. They are cyber terrorists. Those attacks that come out of Russia are Ukrainian. These guys are educated to become hackers. It's a horrible place. It's a beautiful country with some good people, but because there is so much corruption available, it's a rotting cancer. And Russia looked over there and said, I won't have it any longer. We will clean this up. We will sacrifice our money and our young men to go eradicate Nazism, corruption, bioweapons laboratories, NATO encroachment. All those things aren't Putin's fault. That's the United States' fault and the global West. And they have interest in it. The whole Hunter Biden thing is hilarious. All of the Bidens are in corruption in Ukraine. It is they are money laundering money through Ukraine into their bank accounts, and this is all proven stuff: bioweapons laboratory, organ harvesting, corruption, money laundering. These are obvious things that are happening that have been propagandized out of your world. So what you guys saw when the Ukraine war started was pretty blonde women with guns and camo with their tits hanging out, all in makeup, and they were fighting a war, right? We're defending our country, which was all bullshit, which got you guys to fly the Ukrainian flags. You have no ability to actually logically think, and that bleeds into the government, it bleeds into education, it bleeds down into the woke agenda population, the Hollywood star base. It's just horrible, and you guys fall for it hook, line, and sinker, and that's why the West is going to fall. You can depend on this. The West will fall. There will be no more United States of America. Capitalism has been overthrown, and it happened a long time ago. The other aspect of this that you guys don't care about or see or understand at all is the dollar decoupling from oil trade. Now, that's why the United States is buying shitloads of gold right now. They're printing trillions of dollars and going into massive debt to buy gold because gold's going to go up. It's actually a smart move. But the dollar is based on debt. So all that money you guys borrowed, all that free money that you're getting, that is going to be paid back by you. You guys have to pay that back, and that's why the dollar has value, is because your labor is attached to it. So when that changes, and it will, the dollar will have no value, and the United States will fall. And that's what's up. That's what I had to say today. There's way more to each arm of that. But you have to understand that your premises are all wrong. Putin is not a monster, a tyrant, or contrary to popular belief, Russia's not a communist country, which is funny as hell. I hear people telling you that. I'm like, what? Did you know that that's not been true for a long time? And then when you tell them that it was Russia who liberated Germany, the Jews from Germany, it was Russia who invaded the concentration camps and shut them down. It was Russia who did that, not the United States. The United States came in after that, and you guys just don't get these things because you don't understand history, and really they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know because they don't want you to feel good about it. They want you to think that your socialist woke agenda is and your identity politics is going to save the world. But what that does is it makes incredibly weak populations who will be overthrown and enslaved. So the United States, a once strong, capable country with strong men and supportive women, have been divided into weak men, overbearing blue-haired women, and absolutely no logic, because when you start to say things like men can be women and women can be men and men can have periods and become pregnant, and there's urinals in the woman's bathroom and you're mixing sports, those things are psyops and you guys fall for it. You don't just fall for it. You embrace it and push it. And it's a it's a design for you to become weaker, because that defies logic, right? Logic tells you there are two genders. Logic tells you male and female mate and have babies, and the babies do best when there's two loving opposite sex parents that give them balance in the home. And 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 logic dictates these things. Now, all the other countries in the world, all of them ascribe to nature, science, understanding, and logic. And they laugh. They laugh at the United States. You don't even get how funny it is that you guys are the butt of all jokes. And literally, China and Russia, um, the Middle East, they don't have to invade the United States. The United States is already invaded by itself. It's divided, it will fall, and that's the truth. And the pendulum swings, the cycle continues, and unfortunately, the United States is no more, and that's why I moved out of it, because I won't support anything like that. That is just not okay with me. I'm not going to sit there and stay in the United States and support them with my tax dollars and my labor effort to to support what is going on there. It's just idiocy, and I stopped. I'm not there. I refuse to listen to that narrative. I listen to the logic that I was given, and my heart, and it makes way more sense, of course, obviously, than anything that's been pushed by the school system. So I advise you to be strong, to do research that's outside of the United States. Look into some other um, sources of information that are not propaganda. Listen to the other side. Listen to what Putin says. You will find, if you listen to Putin's speeches, that, and listen to a lot of them, that A, he says the same thing over and over and over. B, he's incredibly intelligent. C, he's a wonderful historian. D, he loves his people, his country, and he preserves that. He is a smart economist. He's doing with his country what they should do. Instead of debt being the country's main source of their value, he's using GDP, which is the way that everybody in the world should create value. You take resources you have, you add labor, you create something of value, and you sell it. He does that. And there's some major commodities out of Russia that everybody needs and they can't do without, because not only just because the country is rich with them, but they apply those principles to those resources to create value. And while other countries are using the woke climate change narrative to break down the economic model in their countries to make them once again weaker. No manufacturing. None of the young do anything with their hands. Um, they don't build things. They don't make things. They don't create. They just sit there in their computer and game and become in a virtual world. And that's not good. There's you got to build things. You got to create value. You got to make things to sell. And when you do that, you will have a good life. That's not what's happening. They've taken the resources away from the people. They've created so much obstacles that people can't pull themselves up from their bootstraps. Nobody owns land. Nobody um, can make anything. Factories aren't created. Uh, Chairs aren't made. Food isn't being created because they're sucking all the fossil fuels, which create things, out of the world, out of the game. So, and they're not even fossil fuels. It's not true. Dinosaurs did not make oil. It's the stupidest narrative ever. And that's because people don't understand logic. You can't think that dinosaurs are responsible for something that is 2 miles below the surface. 65 million years ago is only like 300 feet below the surface. It's incredible how dumb people can be, but that's what's up. So nonetheless, use your freaking mind and and question everything. Do not accept one thing. Don't accept anything I've said. Go in and listen to all of Putin's speeches, and then come back and say, "Oh fuck, NATO is kicking his ass," and he's warned them 100 times that if they keep kicking his ass, he's going to do something about it, and not only do something about it, exactly what he says he's going to do, not any different, which is awesome. He tells you, "I am going to punch you in the face if you keep stabbing me in the stomach. I'm going to punch you in the face." They've been stabbing him in the stomach for 30 years. And he's like, "Look, I'm just not going to take that anymore. I'm going to go ahead and punch you in the face. I'm going to take out Ukraine." And by taking out Ukraine, he takes out layer upon layer upon layer of corruption. He understands COVID was man-made. He understands the West began to. I got to take a phone call. Hey, this is Austin.